All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Inside In Tennis Podcast. Mitch Michals here, all part of the Believe Network. We've got tons of great content, and this show is available, as you know, by now on all your podcast platforms. We're into week 2 of the US Open. We're talking to a native New Yorker here as we gear up for some of the best tennis we hope to see all year. Definitely better than last night. Joining us now, you know him as Barstool Hubbs. Doing great work for Stool Tennis, which I want to get to, the new X account as well. But Hubbs, good to see you, my man. How are things? How's that beautiful New York late morning there?
What's going on? Yeah, no, it's actually the weather. I feel like for the U.S. Open, this has been outstanding. Because there hasn't been any. The humidity has not been a thing in August. It's really weird. The months are all backwards. It's been a beautiful month of August. U.S. Open has gotten virtually no rain. Nothing's been stopped. I've been ecstatic about it all. I hate rain delays. No, it's been awesome. It's been a good U.S. Open so far. Hopefully an even better finish.
Yeah, it definitely seems like humidity has been a thing. The weather's been cool. I've heard people, especially other than yourself, say that it's just one of the best weather U.S. Opens ever, especially coming off of Cincinnati. It's probably highlighting it too. It does seem like, I mean, you've been in your native city for a while, but it seems like every U.S. Open gets a little bigger in terms of a scene. Did you feel like the week before, like it just seems like the tennis takeover kind of comes into effect? There's more and more events. There's people. It's quite buzzworthy to say the least.
Thought they did a good job with the mixed doubles thing. I'm sure doubles people don't actually like it, but the mixed doubles thing was really good. Obviously, that's fan week. That's all free. But yeah, way more people every year. More people in the prices go up even higher. The scramble for tickets is more dire.
Yeah.
It did feel like, so I always make the Friday of Labor Day weekend, like that's a automatic. I go with my buddies. We show up at 11. We leave at like 8 or 9. We stay until the night the outdoor session's done. This year it did feel like there were less courts having matches. It wasn't as spread out as it used to be. Even last year I felt like there were more going on. It was just court 17, grandstand, Louis, and Ash.
Yeah.
It felt like there used to be at least a 5th or a 6th court going on that Friday, and they really now jam it into those 4 courts, which is fine because you still have the 2 day pass ones. You can get into Louis Upper Bowl, but that's one thing I didn't like. I used to like when it was a little bit more madness on Friday, but otherwise, I still had a blast, of course.
Yeah, I thought the mixed doubles ended up well, and even look, it's doubles is fun too, right? You get a little star power in, like we're seeing with Venus Williams right now. That crowd yesterday was a sellout. Her and Leo Fernandez winning, so I think it's good to kind of balance those things. And yeah, yesterday center court. It's funny how it goes day to day, right? A couple days ago, Tommy Paul and Bublik are playing deep into the night. Last night we got 1-6-3 set. That was the closest set of the 2 main matches on Ash. Starting with Jannik Sinner, who his opponent dubbed before the match an AI tennis player. That was just a drubbing, Hubbs. I mean, 1-1-1. It didn't even seem that close, which is hard to believe. But after Sinner kind of struggled a little bit with Shapovalov, who served well at times and pushed him as much as he could, you thought maybe there was a glimmer of weakness in Sinner's game. Didn't appear to be any last night. That was just a masterpiece by someone who was facing a guy who'd beat him this year.
It was poetic that they literally asked him going in, "You haven't dropped serve. What's the plan here?" He goes, "Don't drop serve the first game. Drops in the first 2." It was never close. Sinner never let him get any sort of momentum. Just hitting missiles. Like he was just completely on his game. And Bublik was probably a bit tired from the Tommy match previously, and wasn't serving as sharp. And if you're not going to serve as sharp against Jannik Sinner at the U.S. Open, you are not going to come close to winning. And that's what happened. Jannik was a cyborg. Obviously afterwards at the net, Bublik's just like laughing at him like, what, like I'm not bad, but you just made me like I'm not a bad player. And he's having a great year ever since that Vegas break that he took after Indian Wells. It's been a fantastic year for him. But it was not in the cards last night for Bublik, and Sinner moves on, and he's like minus 900 to make the final right now with 2 matches ahead of him. I don't really know how it's gonna change. He's just gonna be there.
There's a couple things that happened yesterday too, and we're revealing. One was you heard Chris Eubanks on the broadcast say it's crazy that this guy's taking full cuts on a serve this hard, and they're not, they're landing in the court essentially. So Sinner's just reaction is insane. And Yeah, some of the stuff you hear about players, the elites, whether it's Carlos or Jannik or Novak in the big three in the past, is how just precise they are. He said on the ESPN call that he's able to look at the server's shoulders.
Yes.
That's genius level stuff right there. I really believe that only a few players have that level of precision.
Yeah, that to me is like being able to watch a pitcher and you see like that little subtle thing in like their glove and you're like, yep, I got his tell. I know exactly what he's doing. That's gift. That's a true gift to have that. And then obviously to do in tennis. And yeah, you can tell where slightly a ball toss is going or shoulder turn. I think the rest of the tour hears that and you're like, well what's even the point? If he actually has that on us, then what's the point?
Well, we'll get to, the players in his way, or maybe, but there was a lot of talk that Bublik was the last resistance before a final. You saying those odds really does reflect that. Another thing that happened last night, we can kind of segue into the fan side of things. Did you see the fan that tried to unzip his bag when he was by?
Yeah.
Well, this is going with the Polish CEO who took the hat from the little kid. So I'd ask you, what's going on here? Why is fan etiquette so lousy at the moment?
Since COVID, we lost our ability to be on planes. Everything's a problem on planes, and no one knows how to act at games. Everyone's kind of lost their mind. That's what I'm chalking it up to. The Polish CEO thing is crazy. I'm actually in the middle of writing a blog about his actual apology. His first apology was fake, apparently.
Yeah.
It was from some fake lawyer, although everyone picked up on it, and there was no way to tell it was fake. It looked very real, outside of it being from a supervillain. But yeah, that was insane. And then this, this fan just, I can just go in his Sinner's bag. That's a totally normal thing to do. What are you talking about?
He put his hands up. He was like, "Oh, sorry."
Did
the George Costanza like, "Am I not supposed to do that?"
Yeah.
Was that wrong?
What?
It's going to be tough, man. Obviously we know if there's anyone that could beat Sinner in this tournament, it's probably Carlos Alcaraz Hubbs. And despite the haircut that maybe set him back in the online world, looked pretty darn good against Arthur Rinderknecht. And that's when you see Carlos in his full bag, right? When he's having fun out there, when he's able to mix in trick shots. And really maybe the most impressive thing, and I know you're a Carlos Alcaraz guy, was that the concentration didn't break down. That was a full, complete match. And I think, hot shots aside, that's what you look at and say when he's really on, is that there's no dip throughout the course of a match.
100%. That's pretty much the difference between him and Sinner, right? Okay, when they get to the final against each other, then the level's almost the same because Carlos elevates to this, he totally locks in, but it's getting there where Sinner doesn't really dip, and you can get Carlos. Obviously, last year, Botic van der Sloot gets him in the second round. Like that will never happen to Sinner unless he's like injured, pretty much. Like him even dropping a set to Tiafoe was a little stunning, and for a little bit there, I was like, what's going on? Because obviously Dennis is, if he's redlining, he hits hard enough that crazy shit can happen. So crazy enough, Carlos is the one that hasn't dropped the set to this point. Now hasn't played really anyone of significance, but as we, the theme of this is sometimes he does lose that lack. He has that lack of concentration there. But Bellucci, he took care. Bellucci has nothing that he can challenge Carlos with. The Opelka was a little tricky with the serve, but honestly, Carlos kind of broke him right away almost every time. Darderi, who was a fun player on clay and has sort of developed a little bit of an all-court game here, not too elite, but respectable.
Yeah.
Made him look like he's never picked up a tennis racket before. And Rinderknecht, a good run there. But he's kind of a little bit of a one-trick pony. He's got a little bit more of a, he's not just a serve bot per se, but it's a big part of his game, and Carlos neutralized it. Yeah, he's just messing around and kind of entertaining the fans. Today's match will be finally a step up in competition with Lehechka. I don't really see it troubling Carlos too much, but it's at least okay, this guy's a top 20 guy. Come on.
Yeah, they played in Queens. It was a 3-set win for Carlos in the final. I know grass is different, although Carlos is damn good on grass as well. So I'm with you. I think Lehechka is a step up. I think Opelka, honestly, the first match was like a test in concentration because there's times in that match where you just have to take your licks. You're not going to return some of his serves. That's just the way it goes. So I thought he handled that well, and winning in straights and staying locked in was good. So
Lehechka did beat him this year.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
In Doha. So that is a little, it's not the same thing, but it's a hard court.
It's true.
But I don't. Maybe he gets a set. Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, some of these spreads are just massive. Now you see,
Massive.
like that's where I'm looking at, like maybe these guys to cover spreads, even lose straight sets, even. So that's
Yeah,
kind of one where I was
I've
looking
had a
at.
pretty good. I've been putting out
Yeah,
picks every day. I've had a pretty to be above 500 and plus
uh,
5 units. That's not easy for
yeah,
63 pick volume. I'll say that.
that isn't. That isn't. Well, what do you think so far about what we've seen from Novak Djokovic, Hubs? He's looked pretty good. I know there's been issues with the neck. I know he's been getting worked on there, and we've talked about Novak and how he preserves his body and coming in with no matches to speak of, literally after Wimbledon. But he's back in the quarterfinals, where he's made at the very least the quarters of every major this year. 38 years old. The tests ramp up, but so far so good for Novak, a guy going for just one thing, and that's one more major.
I thought he looked pretty terrible against Lerner Tien, and I thought if Lerner was a little bit more experienced, he definitely takes a set. Like
Yeah.
Djokovic was giving away one of those sets. Granted, first round match, so Djokovic is trying to get through this at this point, and ideally not expend too much energy.
Yeah.
Cam Norrie gave him a little bit of trouble, and that's when he had the back thing going on. That seemed a little bit more legit than like any neck thing. If you a back for a guy who of his age, that's when you really worry because you can't like if that acts up and seizes, there goes
Yeah,
your
it's
mobility,
over.
there goes your serve. So there was a little bit of red flag there with the Norrie match. It all kind of went away with Struff. He completely dismantled him. That was never close. I thought it was going to be. I thought he was going to win at least a set. It never happened. But yeah, for the most part, he stayed away from the long match, which is what you have to do at his age. That is imperative for him to win. Because the long matches are coming right now, right? Taylor Fritz is going to give him hell of the night. I actually don't think he's going to beat Taylor Fritz. But if he were to, it's going to be a longer match. And then obviously you're getting into Carlos and then Sinner. So it is going to be a hell of a run if he pulls this off. But he's done it the right way so far with not expending too much energy.
I thought the Lerner match was. I thought there were some overreactions to that, Hubs, because I think that's his first match, right? Like you can't play yourself into match safe. So I do think that he didn't look great. Obviously, he's known to ramp himself up, and the competition will. I mean, having Struff come out over Tiafoe was a break, right? We can get into the American side of things too, but it's not Djokovic's fault that Tiafoe didn't get there. So quarterfinals at his age, I talked about it last week. He's 9 years older than the next oldest guy in the top 20. So we gotta respect the fact that he's the only one out here still doing it at his age. But Fritz is the lone American wolf again, and unfortunately, sadly in our case, Hubs, a lot sooner than we would have liked. So there's that side before we get to Fritz, right? That the Americans, whether it's injury in Shelton's case, exhaustion in Tommy Paul's case, or just underperforming in Tiafoe, Mickelson, Korda, some others. It's just Fritz left, and we haven't even gotten to the Final Four yet.
Yeah, obviously the Shelton injury was the big bummer there. Where would he have been playing in the quarters? He would have. Where would he have been?
Alcaraz. I think where's that?
He would have been playing tonight against Carlos.
If he would have got through a Hechka, which no guarantee, obviously, and then it would have been Alcaraz and Shelton.
Damn. Brutal because I thought he was playing really well. Manarino's tricky for anybody. That's just one of the more unorthodox players you'll ever come across. But yeah, bummer. Tommy also. I don't know if was it per se an injury or he just got exhausted or something.
So he was coming back from his injury, and I don't know.
Was it ankle or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what his full. Yeah, something along those lines. I don't know what his full health was. It obviously didn't help him that he was playing all this tennis and weight against Borges, which was a classic match too. But that doesn't finish till 1:30. So he spent time in that hyperbolic chamber. Tommy being a little exhausted, more understandable. Tiafoe just played a bad match. I mean, that was just tough to see, really for the whole match.
I was there for one set. I was there for the first set, and then we
Struff kind of started choking a little at the end, but then played a great tiebreak. Tiafoe Francis didn't have it, and it's unfortunate, right? Because you wanted to see him against Djokovic in a night match and didn't get there.
Yeah, especially Struff goes up an early break in the first set, and then Tiafoe immediately gets it back, and I was like, okay, all right, here you go. And no, he just blew the set, and he couldn't really find it. Grandstand 2 was rocking. That was filled to the brim. I was sitting the way back. I couldn't even get a good seat there. He never had it. Seb Cora, disappointing.
Injured again.
I don't know when that. I'm starting to lose faith there that it's ever going to come together because of mainly the injuries. It's kind of a recurring theme with him. And Mickelson loses early. He's not ready. Yeah, that's kind of it at the moment, right? I'm not really missing anybody, but Taylor Fritz, if for whatever reason, people want it to be somebody else, and maybe he's not flashy enough, but boy, is he consistent, and he is always here. He's just always like it took a while for him to get to this point in his career, but now that once he reached like the quarterfinal, semifinal stage of his slam level, he now consistently just gets there. And he does a really good job of managing the draw. I thought he played beyond lights out in his last match, like a stunning level, like a level that almost like maybe if Carlos or Sinner's on the other side, like there's an interesting development here, and that's why I think he beats Novak Djokovic tonight. I think it's a really good spot for him. He'll have the crowd. Novak, I have said, he hasn't expended as much energy at this point, but there have been moments where I've been a little wary, and especially if an injury pops up again here, I think it's a really good spot for Taylor.
Well, he's going on 5 years, I think, 5+ years of being the number one American guy. So, and we both love Shelton, and we've talked about Tiafoe and these guys, but I don't think Fritz really gets the respect he fully deserves because he's just been carrying the mantle basically since Isner as the top American guy. And you said it, the results speak for themselves. He's a pretty much consistent quarterfinalist and beyond. It's going to be tough, though, to get over 0-10. That's the mental side, right? Like, I'm with you on the game. I'm with you on It's America. 2 years ago, he was in this spot, and he just choked. Like, he didn't have it. And he admitted it as such. I think he's grown as a player, and I think he won't, falter in that moment. I actually think the key to this one, Hubbs, is to make it a long physical match. Because the one thing about Taylor Fritz we saw it in the Tiafoe match last year, is he's built to go 4 or 5 sets. His cardio is great, and his conditioning is good. So I think he can do it. I think this is going to be a test more mentally than physically because the game's there. But it's hard to beat someone for that first time, especially when the losses have stacked up.
You know what they say, though. You don't beat Taylor Fritz 11 straight times. It just doesn't happen. So I'll say this: the odds certainly reflect Taylor Fritz. He is plus 150 right now, and I think that is a lot of respect towards his side. And I tend to lean on that type of rationale. So I think Taylor's got him tonight. But if he doesn't, that would be very disappointing.
Would be. More with Barstool Hubbs here on the Inside In Tennis podcast, talking U.S. Open. Before we get to the women's side of things in week 2, other men that made the runs there, and we're going to have an interesting setup in the other quarterfinal matchup. It's FAA versus Alex de Minaur, right? So de Minaur gets through. Draw was a little kind to him, but he came in maybe with some injury, not having the best year. And Demon just handling business, Hubbs, somebody that's knocking on the doorstep of a semifinal. He'll be facing Felix Auger-Aliassime, who, again, was another one that came in a little hot, had some dips in his career, suddenly trying to get back to his second U.S. Open semifinal. So maybe an unlikely quarterfinal matchup, but 2 guys that have been battling and put themselves in a good position to take advantage of it.
You want to talk about consistency, though, in getting this far in slams. Demon has kind of achieved that. I feel like he on all courts, it kind of seems like at this point, got a pretty good gift in the last 2 rounds, as you were alluding to, with Altmaier retiring and Righty just being kind of a surprise here. But he doesn't have the game to beat Demon at this point. Felix has been one of the bigger surprises of the tournament. It feels like finally getting back to this level where it is so silly. He's only 25. I almost forgot about him, and discarded him. He's 25 years old. Like, these guys don't hit their peaks till about 27 typically. The way he beat, I actually was confident he beat Zverev, and I was confident he beat Rublev, and he did just that. But the way he did it was so dominant.
Yeah, I mean, the Zverev match was very impressive. The Rublev match also impressive, but poor Rublev, man, he can't stop reverting back to the unwinding, right? And it wasn't, again, full marks to Felix for how he won that match, but first set, I think Rublev was up a break, squanders it. The second set, he gets broke. It was like a 40-love game. I mean, and then the wheels come off. I think there's other sports, right? There's a scouting report on him. Felix was like, I'll just stay in this match, stay in the fight, and eventually it's going to happen, and that's what he did. That was a test of composure, which Felix passed, and obviously Rublev didn't.
Yeah, Felix is pretty even keel. He's not going to self-destruct like Rublev. Andre keeps saying he's working on his mental game, working on his, just all this kind of relapses. But yeah, no. Felix has an eye to him right now, a look that's
Yeah.
pretty like concerning if you're on the other side. Like he's pretty confident, and I feel like his mental confidence went away for a few years, and he still may have that choke side to him. That let's see if he gets past this. Let's see if he does.
Right.
Later on. But I think he can win this match.
Yeah.
I think it's as much of a coin flip as it can be because Felix looks so good and he has more power, but Demon is smarter probably and can just extend points enough that can frustrate Felix in a way that Rublev attempts to maybe, but Demon does it way better. I would lean Demon here. I think it's going 5 no matter what. I think this is going to be a grind of a match. I think it is a true coin flip.
Gets to every ball. We saw that in DC when he beat Fokina in that match. It's just he wouldn't quit on. So, yeah, I'm excited. We'll get to the full predictions at the end of this. But on the women's front, the story yesterday was how quickly Naomi Osaka dismantled Coco Gauff. And maybe we should have expected it. Maybe we didn't expect it to be as thorough as it was. But for Naomi Hubbs, I mean, back in the top 20, back into a major quarterfinal for the first time since coming back after becoming a mom, and really playing so efficiently. For all the talk about Coco's serve, let's talk about Naomi's serve. Over 90% first serve points won. I think over 75% second serve points won. That was the story of the match, and what surprised me about how she won is that Coco couldn't sniff anything on Naomi's serve.
No, you want to talk about like blistering ground strokes. Some of these points that Osaka was winning, where she's just dominating the baseline and just firing away. It's scary.
Oh, gee, it's the old school Osaka's back.
Yeah, it took some time. However long it took, longer than people thought maybe. And she became a mom, and that's a whole, that's obviously a whole thing. But boy, does she seem back, and not easy. She almost admitted it going into this match. No one cheering for her. I was on grandstand while this was happening.
Yeah.
You could tell when Osaka was winning points. I was sitting with my fiance and I was following it on my phone a little bit. And I was like, I know exactly what just happened. I know what just happened. This is match point for. You could tell no one is rooting for Osaka here, and it didn't bother her. And I think that is a big step for her. And she's trying to get some fans after the match, bringing Coco onto the court and doing the interview together, whether that's genuine or not.
Yeah.
But this is a very good version of her, and she's got Muchova next, who was dealing with a back thing. This whole match against Kostic, I think it's all set up for Osaka to kind of make she might win this tournament. It is crazy, and on the side for Coco, just a mess of a game right now. Didn't like her going into this match with the serving issues. It looks really good at times, the serve, and then the second serve isn't really there.
What it's doing is it's bleeding into other parts of her game, and I think that's what we saw today. And I'm not the first to say this. People much smarter than me in the tennis world have said this, but when you have such a problem on your serve, then you're not thinking about other parts of your game, and you're making errors you wouldn't make because the serve thing's in your head and it's bleeding in, like the backhand. She dumps so many backhands into the net. That's her calling card. When you see that, that's when you're like, it's just not her day. And I was, for Naomi, just one other thing. I was impressed you mentioned it, like the fans not rooting for her after what we saw in Canada. You wondered how she would react. And I think if you take that match away, or at least how it went down, how she lost, I think the line would have reflected things differently. I think people would have been talking more about Naomi as they are now, that she's a real contender to win the tournament. So dealing with that, dealing with fans that, as you know, when a player, let alone Coco Gauff, is down a set, they're going to root for the underdog because they want more tennis. And Naomi handled it brilliantly. But for Coco, I think time off is needed if she's really going to work on this serve. That guy, Gavin McMillan, the biomechanics expert, can help and has helped top players. But she needs time on the practice court, and she probably needs time away from the match court.
Yeah, and she said it too. I think she said the next few months she's going to use a training session, and not as much worry about results. She's defending some points here. I don't think it's too much of a concern because of how young she is and talented, and it's she'll still stay in the top 10, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's got to get right, and she said she's kind of using this as a preseason for the Australian Open, which is insane because it's how short the tennis season is. Is that you're kind of talking about the preseason for next year, even though she's
not gonna. She's going to use this as training, but I'm going to call it now. She's not missing the WTA finals. You're not missing that Saudi payday. It's just not
No,
happening.
not necessarily missing it, but maybe not
Yeah.
caring as much about the result. Yeah, I think that's more what she was saying. Yeah, but yeah, I agree.
One of the best competitors in sports, so it was impressive to see her battle despite her game being in disarray at times. And yeah, Osaka gets Muchova next, who I love her game, hot shots galore, brutally great effort beating Kostyuk, but all the tennis she's played. That's the other thing too. I think both well rested, you could make this a coin flip match in a lot of ways.
Yep.
But there's just so much tennis on her, and with Osaka winning clean, it's going to be maybe hard for her to bounce back and get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. Osaka does a lot of what Kostyuk does, just a lot better, which is kind of blasting the ball. And Muchova can counter that, but I don't like where physically she's at right now. I was watching it. She was getting like a full back double. She had her vertebrae twisted around and all this, and she was stiff, and it didn't look pretty. She pulled it out. Credit to her. Something I get. Maybe the a pill she took kind of eventually clicked in there, but I think this is a really good spot for Osaka to get her at.
I can't stress enough, though, how much I love watching her play, how she comes to the net, how she mixes in hot shots, and it's great. And the Czechs have been just on fire this tournament. I mean, you talk about not just her, Vondrousova, how she beat Rybakina to get to the quarterfinals, Hubbs, and the way she served out that match. And then obviously Krejcikova, Townsend, which I want to get to in a second. But so you have Krejcikova and Vondrousova are the only unseeded players, and they're Grand Slam champions. So the quarterfinals are stacked with just immense talent.
And Lehechka, you didn't say
Lehechka,
him.
yeah, on the men's side too. Yeah, so you got it's the sneaky country that's not that big, but just produces tennis champions, per capita better than anyone. But that Townsend Krejcikova match, just quickly on that. I know it's a couple of days now we've settled in, but man. Scenes, brutal for Townsend, but for Krejcikova, 8 match points saved. I mean, that is one that will go down and be remembered because of how she locked in and hit winners on these match points down. It was remarkable.
Yeah, it wasn't as much Townsend choking. It was Krejcikova just hitting corners. I'm talking there were multiple points in that tiebreak that just clipped the line. And if they don't, it's over. From 6-3 to get to even 6-6 and that tiebreak, all of those shots are perfect. And she just totally locked in. And once it goes to a third, that's it.
Yeah, there's no way, right? There's no way. It just
no way. No way. Now, I love Taylor Townsend. She's probably one of the bigger stories of this tournament, and she's still going. She's going to beat Venus later today in doubles, and hopefully they go on to win the doubles final. But because they're just so dominant, her and Sinakova. But yeah, I mean the singles to see this level in singles. To the way she disposed of Andreeva, what a shocking I thought maybe she wins a set. To win it straight was shocking. And yeah, she should still be playing. But Krejcikova, just tip your cap to her. She was outstanding.
Yeah, the only critique I'd have of Townsend is that she tried to out baseline rally her on all those points. Didn't seem like the attack that got her to that point. And it's tough to say. We know hindsight's 20/20. Krejcikova on the baseline was just so money, and maybe we didn't expect her to lock in as much. But yeah, these players, they just know how to win. It's easy to say that, but Krejcikova and Vondrousova have slam titles, so maybe another hindsight thing, right? If you're looking at upsets, maybe you look at the players that have won big matches before and know how to stay in the fight. But yeah, it was incredible.
Especially, too, because she's another similar thing to Osaka, credit to, there's not one person cheering for her there. Not one. And she just maybe it helped her locked in. I don't know. Yeah. But, maybe that experience you're talking about really, really paid off there. But, yeah, that was an unbelievable tiebreak.
These doubles players also have a different tactic that I don't think a lot of players, especially young players like Minaur and Felix, have seen before, have seen a type of game like Townsend. It just overwhelmed her. But for Vondrousova, she'll get Sabalenka next. Now Sabalenka, the defending champ, another quarterfinal, the queen of consistency in the slams. It's not even close. She just always gets here. Hasn't been maybe peaking, but that could also be a reflection of her game ramping up. The one thing, though, Hubbs, I think this is an interesting matchup because we talk about that championship experience, but Sabalenka in a tiebreaker, though, is pretty close to as a lock as we've seen. That's what amazes me. right?
What was that? What is it? 18 in a row or something?
I think so. Yeah, we're up to 18 now.
Wild, crazy. I when that stat showed up there, I was like, yeah. I mean, really, obviously she's the best, but like, holy crap. Good 5-4 head to head with these two. Vondrousova being the lefty, it's always a little different. Big serve if that's on. That can get into Sabalenka's head if she's ripping some aces down the tee real quick or in big points, and Saba can't get there. Certainly interesting in Vondrousova. She's no unknown here. Like she's gotten deep in slams, obviously. So and won. So there's no reason that she can't trouble Sabalenka here. As great as she is, I think this is not a great slew of matches yesterday. That will not happen. It will deliver today. I'm almost guaranteeing it will deliver today.
The power players have given Sabalenka trouble. There's a lot of pressure on her game. Like, we know her game when she's playing the best is the best on hard court, I would say. But not having a slam title at this point, how's that going to affect her? Was the pressure going to get into her head that, okay, this is my last chance this year, as good as it's been? She's clinched the #1 ranking after the US Open, but still needs that slam title. And for Krejcikova, she gets Jess Pegula, who a lot of people might have written off. Similar to Minaur, the draw has opened up for her, hasn't played a seeded player. Still with Krejcikova, although this is a different type of unseeded player. This is a different class. So, but Pegula's understood the assignment, Hub. She's taken care of business and has defended a lot of those finals points from last year.
Yeah, she hasn't played anybody, and that's great for her. And she's coming in here as fresh as can be. And you're facing someone the opposite, right? Krejcikova is going to be. I think that's going to kind of tell the story here. Is I think you're going to see someone gassed after that Townsend match, emotionally and physically. And Pegula's going to come here with the crowd. Obviously, that won't really affect Krejcikova, but it will help Pegula. I think she's going to roll here. I think it's going to be a very good match for Pegula. Helping Sabalenka real quick, by the way. Vondrousova is not American. If she was American, that might be a problem.
Yeah,
that's how she loses in slams now. She's almost facing like the lefty Keys, who's not like power hitter. It is that type of deal. But no, for Pegula, I think this is a really good opportunity for her. And maybe we can finally get that first one. It would really help if Vondrousova won. She wouldn't have to play Sabalenka. And then, although maybe that would be good, though, because it would be the American to knock out Sabalenka. And then you'll see what happens on the other side. But, man, that would be so cool if Jessie wins this.
We had a couple more things with Barstool Hubbs here on the Inside in Tennis podcast. And the final quarterfinal in the U.S. Open to discuss is going to be that Wimbledon rematch. We're going to get that matchup again. Iga Swiatek taking on Amanda Anisimova. So, well, for Amanda Anisimova, good bounce back post Wimbledon after getting drubbed in the final.
Impressive. Yep.
And how she had Maya, who'd been playing a lot better and has power, and just thrust her aside there for a second, which was good. I always thought Anisimova, I always thought this could be a good tournament for her when she was coming up because of the fact that she has an endearing personality. She has the game to play well here. So it's good to see her finding some results on the hard courts. And the reward for that is an informed Iga Swiatek, who just wherever she plays is going to be a threat. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Me too. I really hope she wins the first game. I just get it out of the way.
I know.
Let's just win a game. Please just win a game. Don't go down a break. Just win the first game. Shane will go crazy if she just starts up. Well, I mean, that will give everyone juice. I hope the power game, flourishes and she's not too rattled and she kind of goldfish brains that Wimbledon final. She's done a really good job to get this point. I thought she had a pretty tricky draw to get here. Maya Joint is no slouch. Discarded her. Wasn't close. Christian took a set. That went to a third, handled it, and obviously Haddad Maya rolling right now, shut her down. So, and even Burrell in the first round, like that's these are not complete no names here. So I thought it was a pretty good draw path for her. So, but it is Iga.
It is, and is there anybody better than her playing downhill? Like, I was thinking about this yesterday. She gets a set lead. She gets a break lead in the first set. If you follow the live bet lines, the spread just keeps going up. I think she's like money to just close matches, and that's what we saw at Wimbledon is the greatest example. But getting back into it, like it's almost like there's been times where she spotted her opponent a couple of games and then just made her point and made her move. So even if you get that early lead for Anisimova, Iga can flip it so fast, and I think I think her mental side is working well. We haven't seen her unravel really all year. I don't know. This is going to be tough for Amanda. I do think the crowd's like the X factor here. Can they will Amanda on? Can she start early, as you said, to give herself a puncher's chance?
Yeah, I mean, to both your points there, where she's not out of sets, it's only a matter of time. The Kaliskaya comeback on that set was crazy. But then the other side of playing downhill, to mow down Alexandrova in that second and make that 6-1 and like a very informed, tricky opponent. She's very much a monster here. This will take a lot from Anisimova. Like I said, let's start with a game and we'll see where we go from there.
Start with one. Why do you see the women's tournament shaking out? We'll do the grander predictions here. How do you see the West being one, the US Open being one here?
I think Osaka wins it all.
Wow. Is she getting all right? All right.
The way she's hitting her baseline, the way she handled that crowd yesterday, I don't know if Sabalenka's getting to that final. And Osaka versus Iga would be a fascinating matchup. If it's not Osaka, it's Iga. I don't think it's Sabalenka. I think it's going to be one of the. I think it's going to be one on the bottom half of Osaka and Iga. I don't think Anisimova is going to pull it off. But I like I said, I just hope it's a little close. But yeah, I'm a sucker for this Osaka form as she's in. That was crazy what she did to Coco. On the men's side, it's going to be Carlos and Sinner.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Can anything stop it now? Is there anything that can stop a final between those two?
So if you parlay the two right now, it gets you to minus 220 for them to get there.
Like no.
So that would tell you not happening. I don't know. I don't think Mercedes beating Sinner. Do you? No. I don't think Demon's beating Sinner. I don't think Felix is beating Sinner. Felix probably has the game of the three to do it if he peaks, but I don't think mentally he could handle that moment. He's not really that. I don't know.
Yeah, Musetti, we didn't really mention. It was good to see him back in the mix, and he can
really good.
He can be tricky versus top players, but Sinner's a tough matchup for the power and his frame not being as big. Yeah, I think Sinner to get to the finals about as safe as it goes. Alcaraz had the maybe lighter lead up to this path, and now it's getting a little tougher depending on how it goes through.
I do think today should be straightforward, or maybe 4 sets. Obviously, it'll be the semifinals where it gets very interesting, whether it's Novak. But again, if it's Novak there, I'm assuming this is going to be a war tonight. So he's going to come in maimed a little bit and, a little bit gassed. And if it's Fritz, could get interesting. I don't know if he's beaten him here. But, I guess the only thing that stops it is that semifinal match for Carlos. I don't really think it's anything else.
And then does Carlos get revenge of Wimbledon, or does Sinner win 3 slams in 2025?
I think Sinner wins 3 slams in 2025. I don't know, man. That was crazy what he he's looked at what he made Bublik look like. And obviously Carlos's world's better than Bublik. And you kind of throw things out the window when they play each other because Carlos just goes to another level, but it feels like Sinner's tournament.
It does. That would make him 1 point away from a calendar slam if Alcaraz didn't save all. I know it's a different timeline, but he did.
He did.
One of the greatest matches ever. I was going to say too, Hubbs, it has to probably be that way because after, and I know you're an Alcaraz guy, but after the Mika Parsons trade, like you can't have all these nice things, a dog, a fiance, like all these things, and then Parsons on your favorite football team. So I think an Alcaraz title, the way karma works, the law of averages might not be.
We'll see how the Yankees look at Houston tonight. That might negate it all. They might just get blown out in Houston, and there goes that.
But, I think we're all looking forward to this match happening in New York if it is Alcaraz Sinner again, given what happened the first edition here. These are the two best players. And I'll end it with this. Your thoughts on Sam Querrey said he thinks the gap between Alcaraz Sinner in the field is greater than the big 3 gap in the field was back in the day.
I think that will be especially true when Novak's gone. Because right now he is kind of that legit 3. And, if he's truly fresh, he literally beat Carlos at the Olympics last year. So, he can. Did he take a set off Sinner? No, but it was one of them was close. Maybe I'm trying to remember.
RG was close. Wimbledon was not, and he was hobbled. But yeah, I'm with you. He's like he's a floater.
Yeah.
If he goes out in straight sets to Alcaraz and it's very convincing, maybe that's when we finally say, all right, all due respect, greatest ever, but the gap is pretty firm at this point.
After that, though, yes. I guess, well, I mean, Murray was there. Oh, no. Yeah, I mean,
he was.
Murray's sorry. I was trying to think if you said big four or big three. If you're saying big three, then Murray was way closer than anyone.
So I guess you'd say big four. It's more so than you had players like Stan, you had Cilic pop up.
I was about to say Stan. Yeah. I mean, Del Potro when he was healthy. Yes, I would actually firmly agree. There was no one kind of there's no Stan, there's no Del Potro. Even like Cilic would give give some of those guys issues. No, yeah, I would agree. Who said that Novak is in better form now than he was in 2015?
I don't know. I didn't say it.
Someone said that.
I did not say it. I lived that 2015 year, and that is not true. So I'll push back on that.
I want to get maybe it was. No, I'm not going to put. You know what? I'm not going to speculate. Yeah. It was somebody, and I don't even understand how you get to that rationale.
Every, you take the first week of the year away from 2015, the first tune-up tournament. Every result was title or final for every tournament that he played that year. So that was 2015 for Novak Djokovic.
And that's just talking about form, not physical abilities. Even he can't last a tournament now. Well, he doesn't even play these tournaments. Sorry, I just got a tangent. That's been on my head.
We're going for this would be the 8th straight major won by these two guys, just two men. Is it going to be 4-4 or is it going to be 5-3? We'll see, depending on what happens. But Hubbs, I'm excited. Appreciate you coming on the show again. We've reached the 4th major of the year. It's always a blast talking tennis with you. And obviously keep up the good work with Stool Tennis, growing the game online and making some new fans out of it.
That's not just me. That is more. That was mainly Blutman. So Blutman is I'm watching with them. And I'm throwing in posts there, but that is a lot of Blutman for sure.
It helps when you don't sleep, right? Like when you're just awake all the time, when you're a vampire.
Yep, I used to be able to do that, and then I hit 30, and I can't do it anymore. Now this puppy, I got to go to bed and wake up early, so that's pretty much it.
Well, Hubbs, man, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the Inside In Tennis podcast.
Thanks, Mitch.
That was Barstool Hubbs. This was the Inside In Tennis podcast. If you like it, remember, download on all your apps, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and Amazon Music, as well as the YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to at Mitch Michals. We're back in a couple of days, semifinal and final preview and predictions. It's going to be a great end of the US Open. For Barstool Hubbs, I'm Mitch Michals. This was the Inside In Tennis podcast. Really appreciate you listening, and I'll talk to you soon.